My wife laughed at a dinner toast meant for us. I smiled like an idiot. Then I realized the joke wasn't about me. We'd been married 7 years. 2 kids, a mortgage that felt like a third kid, and a fridge covered in drawings held up by alphabet magnets. We lived in one of those high-income suburbs where everyone waves but nobody knows your last name. My life was carpool lanes, meal prep on Sundays, and trying to get to bed before midnight because the alarm went off at 5:30. Hers had slowly turned into emergencies at work, overtime, fires to put out, late meetings that always seemed to land on the same nights. That dinner was at a neighbor's place. Beige walls, stainless everything. A long table with candles nobody lit. Someone raised a glass and said, "To power couples who actually make it." People laughed. My wife laughed harder than anyone, snorted a little, covered her mouth. I laughed too, because that's what you do. But the laugh hit wrong. It wasn't nervous. It was shared, like someone else across the table was in on it. I remember staring at my cracked blue coffee mug I'd brought by accident instead of a bottle of wine, feeling dumb and thinking, why do I feel like the punchline? Nothing exploded that night. That's important. Suspicion didn't start with a bang. It started with a smell of copier paper on her jacket and a new calmness when she said she'd be late. No guilt edge, just smooth. If you're into these stories, hit subscribe and drop a comment about when your gut first whispered instead of screamed. I read those. It helps more than you think. Anyway, the overtime thing ramped up. Tuesdays and Thursdays became automatic. She'd text at 4:50, "Emergency, don't wait up." Always 4:50. I handled dinner, baths, bedtime stories. I learned to make boxed mac and cheese without boiling over. I didn't check her phone. I didn't tail her. I just lived. The weird thing was money, not hotels or flowers. It was small stuff. Parking, tolls, a couple charges that didn't line up with her office lot. She worked downtown, but the charges were from a park-and-ride garage near the commuter rail, 10 minutes the wrong direction. I shrugged it off because that's what you do when you don't want your life to tilt. Then last Thursday happened. I remember the time because the kids were fighting over the TV, and I looked at the microwave clock, 6:40 p.m. She'd said she'd be late again. I was wiping ketchup off the counter with a paper towel when the mail slid through the slot. Mixed in with coupons was a little square printout, a parking garage QR receipt, black ink, faded edges. Entry 5:58 p.m., exit 9:12 p.m. Same park and ride. Same day she texted, "Emergency." Here's the part where you think I stormed in waving it. I didn't. I put it on the fridge under a magnet shaped like a dinosaur and finished bedtime. The house got quiet. I stood there staring at that little square like it was a riddle. Wait, because this is where it gets dumb and human. I told myself she could have met a coworker to carpool, or the garage messed up, or time is fake. I made coffee in my cracked blue mug at 10:30 p.m. like a psycho and waited. She came home smelling like citrus wipes, cheerful, asked how the kids were. I asked how the emergency went. She said, "Handled." One word, no story. I slept like trash. At 5:30, the alarm went off and my chest felt tight, like I'd slept on a coin. Over the next week, I paid attention without acting like a detective. I noticed her work badge calendar on the kitchen counter, the one with colored dots for shifts. The dots changed, but the emergencies didn't. I noticed she stopped asking me to come to things. I noticed I was suddenly the only one planning ahead. Another retention moment here. I didn't want to be right. I wanted the receipt to be a glitch. I wanted boring. On Tuesday, she forgot the receipt was on the fridge. She grabbed juice, the dinosaur magnet fell, and the paper fluttered to the floor. She froze. Half a second. Enough. I picked it up. What's this? I kept my voice flat, surgical, not angry, not wounded, flat. She glanced at it and shrugged. Parking? At the park and ride? I asked. On a night you work downtown? She sighed like I was being annoying. I met someone to go over a project. Easier there. Who? I asked. A coworker, she said too fast, from my department. I nodded. Name? She said a name I'd heard before. Let's call him Mark. I didn't say anything else. I put the receipt back under the magnet. Okay. She accused me first that night, said I was paranoid, said my job stress was bleeding into our marriage, said I needed to trust her. I let her talk. When she finished, I asked one more question. Why does the receipt say exit at 9:12 when you texted me at 8:30 that you were wrapping up? Silence. Wait for this next part because it's not dramatic. It's worse. She didn't cry. She didn't yell. She said, "You're reading too much into a piece of paper," and went to shower. That was the turn for me. Not proof beyond doubt, just the choice she made to insult my intelligence. I didn't confront again right away. I waited until Friday, after I'd talked to a lawyer about boundaries. Not divorce, boundaries, accounts. What happens if things go sideways? I opened a new checking account and moved my paycheck. I printed statements. I made a list. It felt cold. It felt necessary. Friday at 7:15 p.m., after the kids were asleep, I sat at the kitchen table. The receipt was there. The badge calendar was there. My cracked blue mug was there because I needed something to hold. I'm not accusing, I said. I'm asking you to explain these two things so they make sense together. She tried again. Different story this time. Mark needed help. Deadlines. Pressure. I asked why it had to be a garage at the rail station. She said privacy. I asked why the times didn't match. She said the system lags. I slid the paper toward her. I talked to the garage. It's real time. Her face changed then. Not shame. Calculation. Here's the retention hook. She flipped it on me. Said if I was going to be controlling, maybe she needed space. Said she felt unseen for years. Said nothing actually happened, which was interesting because I hadn't said it did. I didn't raise my voice. I'm setting boundaries, I said. No more late nights without specifics. Open calendar. And we separate finances until this makes sense. She stared at me like I'd slapped her. You can't do that. I already did, I said. She slept in the guest room. Saturday morning she left early to think. I took the kids to soccer. I watched other dads pace the sidelines with coffee. I felt hollow but steady. Sunday night she admitted it wasn't just meetings. She didn't say how far it went. I didn't ask for details. I didn't need them. The lie was enough. The ending wasn't fireworks. It was paperwork. We agreed to a legal financial boundary while we figured out next steps. I told one person, my brother-in-law actually, because he handles money and doesn't gossip. He helped me not do anything stupid. If you're still here, here's the last thing I'll say. The humiliating part wasn't the affair. It was the laugh at that table, the shared joke I wasn't in on. The twist was realizing I didn't have to beg for clarity. I could just draw a line. Drop a comment if you've ever found the truth on something small. A receipt, a calendar dot, a pause, and yeah, subscribe if you want more real ones.